Hello, my wonderful reading friends. I am so excited to have you here today. I did not think that this video was going to be happening for a good long time. I was not prepared to make this video literally anytime soon, but here we are. I was struggling trying to pick a book the other day. I didn't know what I wanted to read. I asked Nick to pick a book for me, and he ended up choosing Book Lovers for me to read, which brings us to this video. We are going to be reading the Emily Henry trifecta book today. I'm going to be reading Emily Henry for the first time. I have never picked up a book by her. Obviously, I have all these. I just have not read them yet. I did want to read them in a designated specific video, so that's exactly what we're going to be doing today. I'm super excited. I hear literally the absolute most incredible reviews of all Emily Henry books. I don't think I've heard a negative thing to say about literally any of them. I think maybe like I've heard people be like, oh, you know, I don't care for this one as much. I don't like this one as much. This wasn't my favorite one by her, but it was still good. So to literally not hear a single negative thought, review, any of it, I figured that these were going to be hopefully some of my favorite books that I will read this year, but we shall see. I did go ahead and start Book Lovers because again, this is one that he chose for me to read. Went ahead and picked this one up. I've read maybe 3 chapters, I think, just at night. Yeah, I'm on chapter 3 right now. So I've only read 2 chapters, I guess, plus a prologue, but I've read 3 technically. But so far, I want to say maybe a page in, I absolutely decided that I was going to fall in love with her writing style and the way that she writes these books. I think that it's just so fun and lighthearted and energetic, but it still just has a lot of personality to it, which is something that I think is going to be super exciting to read. And hopefully it'll make it a lot more fast-paced and easy to read, but I'll let you know on that. Like I said, I have gotten a little bit through this book. This one's the one that I'm starting off with, but we are reading the main 3 in this video. Very excited for it. I hope you're excited for it too, because I know that this is something that a lot of y'all are going to be interested in. A lot of y'all are going to be eager to see somebody reading Emily Henry for the first time, especially all 3 of the books, and giving all of the opinions, because at this point I feel like I'm the literal only person on this planet that has not read an Emily Henry book. Obviously we're changing that in this video, so that's the plan. That's the goal. I'm not going to sit here and talk your ear off on this part because I know you don't care about me talking about this right now. What you really care about is watching me read them and hearing my opinions at the end. Am I wrong? Probably not. We are going to be starting with this one, and I will keep you updated if I feel the need to, and I'll let you know what I think about this one. So I just came back inside a couple seconds ago after I so sweetly broke my chair. Lovely. Trying to get my little tan going, which I did get a little tan. Little burnt probably, but it'll turn into a tan, don't worry. Don't worry. Tried to roll over a little bit, and I guess the chair wasn't fully propped up properly, so it just all the stitching snapped. So lovely. Love that for me. I wasn't going to say anything. I was just going to finish the book and then come talk to you at the very end because I don't want to be repeating myself a lot. I'm trying not to do that. I'm trying to just actually say what I'm trying to say once and be done with it. But I have a kitchen full of dishes back there that I need to do, and I have to have something to procrastinate doing the dishes. I will say this. I'm a very firm underliner with a pencil. If I've got something that I think is fun, funny, cute, whatever it is that I want to underline, I very much believe that underline it with a pencil because I never know if I'm going to want to get rid of the book or not. And I did that when I started off. I'm trying to like find some here. I started off underlining with my pencil, right? And things were great. Started finding a bunch of other stuff to underline, and I literally got to the point where I swapped to a pen. I literally swapped, I have it in here, to a pen to underline in this book, which is not something that I've ever done. I've never taken a pen to any of my books because, again, I don't know what I want to keep. I don't know if there's going to be a book later on that I want to get rid of or whatever. I just don't know. And I'm normally never fond enough of a book to actually make my underlinings permanent, but this one I don't think that I will literally ever be getting rid of. And if I do, then sorry. I'll just give it to one of you guys or something like that that doesn't mind underlining in a book. But I am on page 260. That's so not true. I'm literally looking at it right now and I still said 260. 226. I am on chapter 21. So far, I am loving it. Like I said, I picked it up, and second page in, I would say, I decided that I was going to absolutely be eating this book up, eating up her writing style, at least if I decided that this book wasn't necessarily for me. One of her books out there was going to be for me, and this one I am absolutely devouring. I think that it is so sweet. The banter is just absolutely on a different level. This is so good. The tension, oh my goodness. I'm like wanting them to get together so bad. Like, they're giving us little like hints and stuff here and there. So it's not like intense slow burn where they're actually like waiting to get together and stuff like that. But it's slow enough what they're doing that I'm like, oh, I just want them to be together already. Like, oh my goodness. I am thoroughly enjoying this one. I thought that this one was going to be my least favorite of the three. I'm not saying that, like, I know what the other books are about. Even, I've never read the back of any of these books. I don't know what any of them are about in the slightest. But I thought that this one was going to be my least favorite. And even if it does turn out to be my least favorite, this is so good. So good. I pretty much went into these books in a reading slump. Not that I didn't dislike the last book that I read, you know, or anything like that. It's just, I feel like I don't want to read anything. I would rather be on my phone. I would rather be doing literally anything else other than read. Well, except for doing the dishes, all right? Let's be honest here. Who wants to do the dishes? Not me. But I've been wanting to do literally anything other than reading for, it feels like, the past forever. And I picked this book up and now I'm already almost finished with it, kind of. I mean, by tonight I'll probably be done with it. And that's just not happened. I feel like I've not felt like that for a little while, especially not anything that I read this month, I don't believe. So that's good. This is a really good sign. I feel like there was some other stuff that I was going to say about it. I'll just kind of try to remember and save it for the end whenever I actually tell you everything, all of my thoughts and stuff about this book. But so far, I absolutely have zero complaints. I just finished Book Lovers, and I have to say I did thoroughly enjoy this. I have been in a reading slump lately, and I feel like this didn't necessarily get me out of it. I still don't really want to read, but this definitely gave me a big push out of that reading slump. I cannot get over the main characters' like banter in this book. Their sarcasm to each other was just so funny. I really enjoyed them creating a relationship together. I loved them talking back and forth. Even the realm of them being in like the publishing world and the editorial world and stuff like that. I loved them being in that field and then them communicating together and then she thought that he was like a grouch, he thought that she was a grouch. Their whole connection was just so cute and I loved it. I will say that it kind of started to fall off the more close they got. Once the tension kind of left and it was really just them in their relationship just doing their own thing, I didn't care for it as much. That's definitely where the book kind of lost me a little bit. But other than that, I still really liked it. I would say maybe up until about like the 70% of the book, I absolutely adored it. The rest was just kind of a stereotypical romance book, I guess, in my opinion. I thought that this book was so cute. It definitely felt like very unique. I don't think that I've ever read a book that has been written like this. It just felt very natural, and it didn't feel like she was trying to write it. It felt like it just kind of came out of her fingertips or something, just so easily and carefree. It just felt like it was a natural book for me. I don't know. I loved reading this. I thought it was really cute. I laughed a lot during this book. I underlined like a ton of things. I literally thought that this was so cute. I absolutely ate this up. I have not really any bad things to say about it. Definitely something that I would recommend. I loved the banter between them two. I think that these two were probably my favorite couple to watch create a relationship out of any romance book that I've read so far. I couldn't get over it. Their sarcasm, top tier, top notch. Loved it. And I'm glad I started with this one. I do think that it definitely got me out of a big majority of my reading slump, and I'm very excited to now go into People We Meet on Vacation. I do have all the UK covers, and I know normally the UK covers for like this one I think is a different title, but somehow it's not. Still People We Meet on Vacation. I honestly think that this is just like, I was gonna say I think that these books are like fake. I don't think that these are actually, I don't know how to explain that. Like the cover of this one, it's like bubbling a little bit. I got these on Amazon, but the cover's like bubbling and stuff, and whenever there's something off about these. I know that for a fact, but then also it says for sale on the Indian subcontinent only. So I don't know. I don't know what that means, to be honest, but I am excited to start this one. I am in the process of having to start a grocery list and get all of my meals prepared for this month. So I do plan to start this on audiobook. I'll kind of figure out my meal plans and stuff like that, get that prepped, and then I will switch over to my book a little bit later on today.
If I could tell you, I don't think you'd believe how long I've felt this way. I'm begging you to stay. And if I could show you, I'd hope that you could see all the possibilities. There could be a place for you and me. And under the stars, you pack up your car, 'cause you're going far away from here. I wish I could stall, but I never call, and you're going all the way this year. If I could tell you, I don't think you'd believe how long I felt this way. I'm begging you to stay. And if I could show you, I'd hope that you could see all the possibilities. There could be a place for you and me. I feel 100 degrees.
There we go. Hello. I normally don't ever want to do like disclaimers on what I'm wearing and stuff like that, but I will this time. I threw on my same sweatshirt from yesterday. I'm cleaning today. It's Friday. It's my cleaning day. We all know this, so I figured I would just go ahead and toss this on, and then I'd throw it in the wash after I got finished, so that way I'm not wearing a new shirt to clean in. Makes sense to me. Anyways. But what I actually came in here to tell you was that I am about 50% of the way through People We Meet on Vacation. I am on page 222, and I am on chapter 22. That's really fun. Cool. Anyways, I am really, really enjoying this book. As you saw previously, I started listening to the audiobook while I was meal prepping, grocery prepping, the whole nine. And that is a very, very extensive, strenuous task for me. Doing the grocery list and preparing the meals for the month is a very intense thing for me. I don't know why, so I was heavily focusing on trying to do that, and I think in the process of me focusing on the grocery list, I don't know if I missed some of the audiobook or if the audiobook didn't explain it until, after. I don't know what the case was, but listening to the audiobook and not having picked up this book previously at all, I did not know that parts of the audiobooks were going back in time. So it's like every other chapter, something like that, they're going back to a previous summer vacation that they took. And I was 110% not following that at all. I was not aware of that. So in reading it, I got kind of confused because, I'm listening to this and then all of a sudden we kind of skip and we're in this place that I don't really recall. I don't feel like we've been before. And then we go back to kind of what I had been listening to previously, and then we'll skip forward again. And being in another vacation spot, it's in a completely different summer, so they're in a completely different place doing something else completely different. And I was like, okay, well, this doesn't add up. I'm just kind of like, to me, I'm just jumping around and I'm not understanding why we're jumping and how we're getting where we're getting and all this stuff. Because when you start a new chapter, it says, so this is 10 summers ago, right? And I don't know if I just wasn't listening or if the audiobook wasn't saying that part, chapter 9, this summer. And I never heard any of that. I never heard this summer, last summer, 10 summers ago, 8 summers ago, 7. I never heard any of that or anything. So I had no idea what was going on. I was following along, but not fully enough to understand that we were completely jumping timelines like we were. So that honestly, as terrible as it is, that really has just taken a hit on my enjoyment of the book. I am loving this book. I am thoroughly, thoroughly enjoying it. I don't necessarily love the main characters' banter and their relationship as much as I did the previous couple in Book Lovers. I really enjoyed them and their budding romance. I enjoyed listening and reading all of that. This one, I think that the characters are definitely polar opposites, and I do like that. I think that that's exciting to read about. I don't think that they are as sarcastic with each other as, the last couple was, which is what I really, really liked about them. I thought that was so fun. And this one, we kind of get just the main female character. She's very sarcastic and funny, quirky, goofy, the whole nine, whatever. But the guy is more anxious, reserved, withheld. He's more of a laid-back, kind of nervous individual. So he's kind of bouncing off of her, but not a ton. Her personality is kind of where you're getting all the energy and stuff from. But I still really like it. I really enjoy it. And I like the idea of them vacationing together a lot more. I like just the overall plot of this book a little bit better than I did the last one. Like I said, the last book, and this is really just any book, and I know this is so terrible to say, but once they actually get into that relationship and then we start moving into them being a couple and progressing that relationship, I start to lose interest because I really am more focused on the coming of the romance and not just the romance itself, I guess, because that's whenever it starts to get more sappy, more unrealistic, in my opinion. And again, I'm not saying that any of these books are unrealistic. I'm sure that there's realism for other people in some of these. I'm sure some people can relate to these. I'm sure that there's something in every single one of these books that someone on the planet will say, that's not unrealistic, that's my life, I completely relate to that. And that's fine. But for me, reading about it, it just is too sappy for me. It's too much. It's too, something bad is happening and we need to combat it and, find our relationship better throughout this issue. I don't know. I don't know what it is, and I don't think I will ever be able to pinpoint it. Like, we know I'm so bad at, like, deciding anything. I can't make a decision. So, like, that also plays into I can't decide what I actually feel about these books and why I don't like them once they start getting together. But I'm sure, like, we'll hit a point in this book where they actually get together and I'm just not going to care anymore. I'm just going to be like, okay, whatever. Like, it's done. They're together. I know how this ends by now. I can move on. I'm ready to be done with the book. Maybe that's my thing. It's not unique to me after they get together. It's like, every romance book plays by the books for the most part, so I know how it's going to go. We all know that they're going to get together at the end. We all know that there's possibly going to be something that happens that makes them split up for a certain amount of time. Then they're going to come back together. They're going to be stronger than ever. Then there's going to be an epilogue of them being married, having kids, like getting proposed to, whatever the case is. And that's not unique to me. That's not something that I'm anticipating. I already know that that's what's going to happen, right? Because I just told you that this is probably how this book is going to end. So once I get past the unknown part and I get more into that mainstream, like, okay, this is what happens in all books, I lose interest and the rest of the book is just kind of like, whatever to me. That very much is what happened with Book Lovers, but again, the majority of the book was good, so I try to not put those ending emotions into rating my books and all that stuff. But I am enjoying this one. I'm a little over halfway through. It's cleaning day, like I just said. I'm going to probably finish listening to the audiobook, probably pay a lot more attention to the past and the present summers, and really understand that. I think that me not getting that has caused a lot of issues with me understanding the storyline. I know that the main couple in this book, they broke up, they stopped being friends like a while ago, and I don't know why, and I couldn't tell you if it's because I missed part of it, I wasn't fully paying attention to the plot line, I wasn't fully engaged in the audiobook, I missed the backstory of it, like whatever the case was. I don't know if they've told us yet or not. I feel like they haven't because it's kind of going back from like, I guess 10 to 1. Does that even make any sense? Of course it's this summer. I think that they're going from the first vacation that they ever took together to the last vacation, kind of the one that caused their friendship to split up, but I'm not positive. I could be wrong. Not quite sure. But either way, I am going to start cleaning here in a second. I am going to probably finish this audiobook up today. And if I finish this one today, then I might go ahead and start Beach Read today or tonight, one of the two. But I'm not sure. I'll let you know. Hello. I just went back and I looked at all of the footage that I had taken previously up to this point, and I realized that I have not updated on People We Meet on Vacation. I finished this one. I think I finished the audiobook while I was cleaning, or I finished the book the day after I was cleaning, one of the two. But also since then, I have also finished Beach Read. Sorry. I think after this book and midway through Beach Read, I got into a massive reading slump and I didn't want to pick the book up. I didn't want to read it. I didn't want to continue it at all. I'm not saying that it wasn't good at all, but I just could not find any motivation within myself to actually read any of these books. Therefore, I don't think I got any clips. If I did, you would have seen them before. If not, sorry. But I will go ahead and give you the rundown on People We Meet on Vacation. I really, really liked this one. It's been a while since I read it. Not that long. It's been like a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks, something like that. And I don't particularly remember a ton about this. I don't even know, honestly, let me be real. I don't know if I even read any of the physical book. I think I listened to most of it on audiobook, and then the rest of it I read on my Kindle. Sounds about right. Pretty sure that's how that went. I enjoyed the premise of this book a lot better than Book Lovers. I thought that this one was really sweet in the way that they were like childhood friends to lovers. I thought that that was really fun. That's kind of one of my favorite, I guess, tropes, if you will. I'm sure there'll be some that I don't like, but for the most part, I really enjoy like whenever they're friends. They've been friends for a while. I guess they weren't childhood friends lovers, but they were just like good friends for a long time. Kind of the same thing-ish. This one, they were friends, they had a falling out, and then they kind of separated for a couple years. They didn't talk to each other for very much, and then one day out of the blue, I don't even remember this girl's name. Poppy. Her name was Poppy. I don't remember her name being Poppy at all. Anyways, shows you how my memory is. His name is Alex. She calls Alex out of the blue one day. She texts him, not calls. She texts him out of the blue one day. I think she accidentally texts him, if I'm not mistaken. I don't quite remember, but I think that that's how that goes. He ends up responding. They start talking a little bit, and she asks him to go on a vacation with her under the pretense that it is for her job, so that way he is willing to go, so he doesn't have to pay for anything. He ends up accepting the trip. They go on the trip together. It's like this massive hodgepodge of just crap. The trip is kind of ridiculous. It's just weird, odd, whatever. The whole nine. Crazy trip. And then they find their feelings together and they discuss their past and why they had falling out and the whole shebang. And then, they fall in love and stuff. That's probably a terrible description of this book. I'm struggling to remember it. I'm sure you can see that. But I really enjoyed this one. I think that out of the three, this one was probably my favorite. I will say the relationship in this book was not as good, sorry, it's backwards, as the one in Book Lovers. I loved their banter. Is it even banter? I don't even know. I don't even actually know what that is. I'm assuming it's just the back and forth, like whatever between them. I loved how sarcastic these two were with each other. I loved just their relationship together. I loved their back and forth. I loved their talking together. Everything that they were talking about was literally cracking me up. I loved every bit of sarcasm that they threw at each other. Loved it. Ate it up. So good. This one was not quite that. The main girl, Poppy, I remember that. Poppy, she was very outspoken, outgoing, just kind of fun, happy-go-lucky, while Alex was a lot more reserved, a lot more anxious and stuff like that, so he wasn't as fun, I guess. He didn't necessarily feed off of her energy too much, whereas this book, they very much both fed off of each other, and that's what I really, really liked. This one wasn't quite like that, but I liked the friends coming back together to love her a second chance type thing. I enjoyed that more than just the regular romance premise in this book. Am I making sense? I don't really know. I don't even know, like, it just, there's differences. They're different. This one had stuff that I really preferred over this book. This one had, like, the relationship, I guess, that I really preferred over this one. This book, I think, bored me a lot earlier on. I want to say maybe like 60-70% through. I was like, okay, like, I'm kind of over this. I'm done. They got together, whatever. There's not any tension left, so I don't care as much about it anymore. And maybe that's just a flaw that I have, probably, but that's just how I feel, honestly. So this one, after a little while, I started getting bored of it. I didn't really care. I feel like they could have dragged it out a little bit longer and kept the slow burn going a little bit more, but, I'm just a slow burn girly, so obviously my opinions are not the same as everybody else's. This one, I think that the slow burn, waiting for them to get together, it definitely drew out a lot longer. I think he was very reluctant to pursue anything with her. They didn't kiss for, like, forever, I feel like, but that's just totally my cup of tea. I don't think that this one gave us romance as soon. Obviously, like, you could tell it was budding and stuff like that, but it wasn't as soon as some of the other books. It kind of gave you like to 80% maybe, if I'm even thinking about that correctly. I don't know. I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. So I'm glad I read it. Then I went into Beach Read. Man, I love this cover so much. I think it's so cute. But I went into this one and I really enjoyed the like storyline of it. I loved that they were both authors, you know, trying to write and whatever. I liked their dynamic of being enemies, I guess. I thought that that was kind of interesting. Kind of like in this book, I feel like they were kind of enemies to lovers in a way. Not enemies, you know what I mean when I say that. I don't think that any romance book or any, you know, whatever book is enemies to lovers unless if they would kill each other. Just actually, they just were, I don't know, they just didn't like each other. They're very disagreeable towards each other. Two lovers. So I don't even know if that's a thing, but I'm making it a thing. I enjoyed them kind of being across the street from each other. I thought it was interesting with her like past relationship with her dad and stuff like that. Definitely not exactly what I was expecting in this book. I did really like it, but I think I hit maybe 50% of the way through and I just got so lost. And I'm not saying that it's the book's fault. I'm pretty sure I just got so tired of reading or something and I just gave up completely because I got to the point where they started going and doing research together. I guess they were like trading off research topics, research whatever. They were going out and doing stuff to like try to figure out how to write a book in the opposite genre. So they started going out and doing that and that's pretty much where the book lost me. I don't know. I didn't care, I guess. Subconsciously, I didn't really like not care in real life, but going to reading it, I just was like, couldn't do it. I literally could not get through it. I don't know what the deal was. This book took me, I'm not even kidding, like over a week to finish, which I figured I could finish this in 2 days. And let's be real, I totally could finish this in 2 days. But I think the fact that these books are very similar and a lot of the things that I didn't care for and that I don't love about books were in all of these books. Therefore, it got kind of old to me and I just kind of wanted something fresh and different. And so I was kind of boycotting finishing the rest of this and I was really, really putting it off. But I ended up getting to the end of it. Don't get me wrong, I liked it. I did really enjoy it and I don't know where I would fit it in with like these two books because I do feel like I liked it better, but I had such extreme afflictions to finishing this book that I don't feel like it's fair for me to put it in with the other ones because I didn't give it the correct chance that I feel like I should have. I would have enjoyed this a lot more had I actually sit down and paid attention to the entire book versus like 50% hitting and then me kind of just forgetting about most of it. But that's totally my fault. That's not like the book's fault at all. To my knowledge, I don't think it was the book's fault. I don't know. I feel like if I were to go back and read this at some point, maybe like next summer or something, I would enjoy it a lot more than I did. But just kind of reading all three of these together in the same breath, that's kind of what threw me off. From reading these, I think I've gathered that Emily Henry tends to write, and I don't want to say tends to write because I haven't read any of her other books, but just from these, I've noticed that all of the main characters had some type of death in their family. Like one of their parents died, somebody's parents died, one of them was going through this really extreme thing, and it was just, I understand, and I feel like I've talked about this so much, or just at least at other points, I understand that people go through stuff, and I totally get that. I'm not like knocking anything. If the author, you know, genuinely is going through this, the author lost a parent and stuff, and this is how they cope with it or whatever, they write about that because that's what they know. I get it. Same thing with Rebecca Yarros. She wrote like the same thing about like all these bad things happening, and then they were like mad at God for all this. And so whenever you just keep doing that in the books that to me feel somewhat unrealistic, it kind of gets on my nerves because I don't think that everybody goes through that. Obviously, like a lot of people do, and I don't realize it, and that's not me trying to be like insensitive or anything like that. I think that sometimes I want to read a book and I don't want the main characters to be going through something detrimental. I don't want them to be going through something traumatic. I just want like a simple, like, okay, you know, we had a good upbringing, good childhood, but like, you know, we have some issues now that we're adults. Like things change, you know, versus I feel like a lot of times books always have some type of intense issue that the main character is going through, and sometimes that's hard for me to grasp, not just because like I don't feel like I've gone through just a really intense issue like that or anything, but I think it gets so repetitive, and I think when a lot of books have that, it gets frustrating for me because I just want something different. I don't want something that feels the same, and when all of the books have some type of, intense like backstory that just to me feels unrealistic, I just get kind of like I kind of over it. Kind of like Disney Channel or Disney movies or whatever. Like all of them lose a parent. You know what I mean? And it gets kind of old whenever you're watching all of those movies and stuff, and it's every single person has only one parent. One of their parents died when they were super young. You know what I mean? And it just, that storyline kind of gets repetitive. So when I read a whole bunch of books like that, that kind of gets repetitive to me, and I don't care for it that much. And mainly just because I don't relate to it, obviously. If I related to it, I feel like I would enjoy it more, but I don't, so that's kind of why. But again, everybody has stuff that they don't relate to in books. Everybody has stuff that they do relate to in books. I think that books that have like hard hitting topics and stuff like that, I think that those are great for people that are going through it, right? If you're going through a really toxic breakup, or if you're like in a really toxic relationship or something like that, and you aren't ready to get out of it and stuff, but you kind of see it, but you don't see it, you know what I mean? Like if you read a book about a toxic relationship and you're like, okay, well, I'm going through this, I see this happening in my relationship and stuff like that, that can give you insight to, what you're going through, that can help you feel like you're not alone. A lot of bad things that happen in books help people, and I'm not saying that that's wrong. I'm sure a lot of the bad things that happen to the main characters in these books people relate to, and I'm sure that that helps people. I'm sure people like relate to that, and they're like, okay, well, I'm not alone in this, other people are dealing with this, the person in this book is dealing with the same thing that I'm dealing with. That makes me feel better about myself, and that's great. That's so good. I've read books like that where I related to it, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, I'm not the only one that does this. I am not like crazy in this. This isn't just me. This is something else that somebody else is going through. You know what I mean? So that's great. I love that. And I feel like I'm just ranting on about this because I don't want this to come off in the wrong way. Obviously, to some people it will, no matter what I say, so that doesn't really matter. But to me, I don't care for a parent being lost or something like that in every single book, personally. So that's just my 2 cents about that. I did really enjoy these books. I really liked it. I'm definitely a very big Emily Henry fan. As of right now, I don't think that I will read Happy Place for a little while. I think I need a good breather. I'll probably read that like in the summer or something like that. But I think I do really enjoy her writing. I loved the way that she wrote these books. Like, genuinely, I loved the interactions between the two main characters. I loved the romance aspect. I loved the sarcasm between the two characters in this book. There were so many funny quotes just reading this. I remember laughing at like some of the things that they were saying. I literally, in this book, I'm not even joking, I got my pen out and I started just underlining stuff. And I know that I'm not the typical underliner of like sweet little romance quotes and stuff like that. That's not something that I care about as much, but just the funny things. I literally just thumbed through this whole book and I can't find like a single thing that I underlined in my pen. Here we go. Literally had to pull out my pen for this. This one, he looks like a Swiss Army knife, a man with 6 different means to undo me. Like, it's just funny to me. Like, I think that's hilarious. Nick and I are big knife people, so like we both have all the Swiss Army knives. So that's like hilarious. It's such a compliment for a boy, I feel like. But I really enjoyed the banter between all the main characters. I loved the direction that she took all of the books. Obviously, if I were to read these one by one and reread them at some other point, like maybe in the summer, or maybe when I'm actually not wanting to read a book, I would enjoy them a lot more than I did. But for the most part, I actually enjoyed these a lot more than I was expecting to, and I was not expecting them to be as funny as I thought that they were. I have a hard time actually laughing at books. I don't think a lot of books are funny at all. These ones had me cracking up sometimes. I'm not even gonna lie. So if you have not picked up an Emily Henry book, I would highly, highly, highly recommend it. I think I'm about the only person on the planet that hasn't picked one up yet at this point, but I think that they were so good. I loved all of them, actually. I don't want to say equally, but like there's not a very high tier of which ones I preferred and which ones I didn't prefer. There was just different little things that I really, really liked out of each book. Also, these are all the UK covers. I got these all on Amazon. If I can find the link that I got them from, I will totally link it down below, so you can check these out too if you want to. They came with Happy Place too, but it's like a really big, like, paperback. Definitely not mad that I read these though. But that's it. That's all I got. I promise next time I'm gonna try to do better at actually vlogging the reading thing. I'm kind of over my reading slump. I have actually read another book since I finished that up, and I really loved it. So hopefully I'm out of my little reading slump. I just need to pick up a thriller book or something like that and just kind of wash the little romance out of my system. But I will read Happy Place at some point. You will see that here sometime. Who knows? Probably after the new one comes out. I think I'm gonna pre-order that one, and then I'll read Happy Places sometime, maybe this summer. We'll see. Who knows? Not gonna put any money on it by any means. But thank you guys so much for joining me today. I hope you have a fabulous rest of your day, and I hopefully will get to see you in the next one. See ya.